So Jack on Facebook says, hi guys, I got my flight booked for Christchurch in mid-July. Have you been skiing in the South Island? Any tips for that? Also, what are the costs? Thanks in advance. All right, so skiing on the South Island, it has been a big of a hot topic at the moment. We talked very recently about the best ski fields in the country.
Yeah.
So we link up to the description. So in the description below, we link up to that video. But yes, there are a ton of ski fields on the South Island. And that's because the South Island has the Southern Alps. So the Southern Alps is basically the massive mountain chain that, well, literally forms the South Island. It crosses the entire island, and the mountains are actually quite rugged and quite high, so there is really heaps of ski fields there. Now the ski fields that are available on the South Island, they range from like the really big one that Laura is going to elaborate about, because I'm pretty sure this is where you're going to be skiing, Jack. But there are also a lot of very small ski fields, which often they're called ski clubs, right?
Club fields.
Club fields, yeah, club fields. So now those club fields are very small. So some of the one that comes to mind are like Rainbows, I think is the.
Oh no, that's actually a commercial one. But Treble Cone, Mount Olympus.
No, the really small one.
Treble Cone. Oh, sorry. Temple Basin.
Yeah, Temple Basin.
The other one that begins with T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Triple Cone is a big one, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Temple Basins, for example, they're really small, and you're gonna have like about 3 different kind of slides that you can take. Is this called slide? No, or you runs. 3 different runs. Sometimes to go up, you literally just hold on to a rope, and there's like a little pool that kind of goes around there, and it's that tiny. So a lot of those very small ski fields, despite the fact that you will see them marked as ski fields or ski clubs, they, to be quite honest, won't warrant for you to go over there for like literally a week and spend a week skiing over there. You know, like a lot of people do in Europe or in North America, where you go to, you know, let's say to Aspen for a week, or you go to Megève or to Courchevel in France for a week to go skiing. That's not really what you're going to be doing in the small ski clubs. You just go over there for one day, you just try it out, and you kind of have like really authentic skiing experience, like a real New Zealand skiing experience. Now, if you really want to do a lot of skiing, usually you're going to want to go to like the more commercial kind of ski field, the really bigger one, like Treble Cone that we're talking about, like Cadrona, like the Remarkable. So there is quite a few options, and they're all within the vicinity of both Wanaka and Queenstown. So Wanaka and Queenstown are more on the lower half of the South Island, and this is where you have some of the most commercial ski field. So now for all the costs and all those kind of things, I'm going to pass it on to Laura, and so we're going to talk about commercial ski fields.
Yeah, so in terms of costs, just to do a day on one of the commercial ski fields, this is usually around 100 New Zealand dollars per day. Obviously there's ways to make that a bit cheaper, which is buying a multi-day pass, or sometimes even a season pass. If you're staying around for over a week, usually getting a season pass is the most cost-effective way of doing that. And usually on ski passes, you can get early bird deals, which you will need to basically a couple of months after the winter season has just gone. So the winter season goes from July to around the beginning of October, late September. Soon, usually at the end of October or November, you can get early bird season pass deals, where that really is like the best value for money. It's around $600 to get a whole season pass, usually for multiple ski fields, but otherwise it's into the like 1,200 New Zealand dollars to get a season pass. In terms of multi-day passes, that it will cost you around $600 for about a week of skiing. Yeah, also on top of that, you need to think of your costs for rental. The large commercial ski fields, so as Jack says, he's going to Christchurch, so he might want to consider going to Mount Hutt, which is one of the closest large commercial ski field to Christchurch. This has rental facilities on the mountain, and the cost of that really depends on what you need to hire. I mean, if you have your own your own ski jacket and salopettes and ski boots and all that, obviously you will only need to get your board or your skis, so that makes it a little bit cheaper, but obviously the more you need to hire, the more expensive it's going to be. So that really depends on what item, or what you need to hire. And then on top of that, you probably need to consider the costs for food. The food on the mountain, like anywhere in the world really on a ski field, it's always going to be more expensive when buying your meals on the mountain. So a lot of people like to offset this by actually taking their own food up there. There's a lot of in Mount Hutt, for instance, this is close to a town called Methven, which actually has quite a few backpacker hostels and self-catering, like holiday parks and stuff like that. So you can use self-catering facilities, make your own lunches and stuff to take up onto the mountain with you. And that's a way of saving money. But otherwise, you'll be paying maybe around like $10 for a punnet of fries, which is, it's pretty ridiculous for what it is, but that's just what it is. On the ski fields in New Zealand, like anywhere in the world, it's pretty expensive for food. In terms of other things you might want to consider if you're doing ski lessons, obviously they do have ski lessons and stuff like that on the commercial ski fields, which I actually don't know the price of those off the top of my head, but it is another expense to consider.
Yeah. All right, so you also asked for a couple of tips about, a couple of tips if you are going to skiing in New Zealand, especially on the South Island. So we'll go through a few tips that we have for you. We'll do one each as it goes. So the first thing that comes to my mind, for me personally, is that if you go on the commercial ski field, in my opinion, you should actually make sure that you get yourself a ride to get up there. So you take a bus, you take a shuttle, you don't drive yourself up there. Parking over there is painful, the road is not that great. So the first thing I will do is that I organize transport to go up to the ski field, because in New Zealand you will find that very often the part of the town where you have your accommodation is further away from the ski field than what they are in Europe. In Europe, very often you can literally kind of ski almost all the way to your accommodation. It does happen, right? But it's not the case in New Zealand. So you will have the town like Queenstown or Wanaka, and then you will have a good 30-minute drive, sometimes even more, to go all the way up to the ski field. Now, it's not something you're necessarily going to want to have to do, because you have to pay for parking, because the road's not that great, because you're probably going to be a backpacker, so you're not going to have the best car, just those kind of things. So get transportation sorted, get the shuttle. Do you want to do 4 tips?
Yeah, so the thing to note as well, one of the big tips I would give to anyone going skiing in New Zealand is to take sunscreen up with you. Even in winter, at a high altitude, you are very likely to get sunburned. And this could, even happen on a sunny day in the middle of winter. That's when the UV rays are the most intense. So definitely take some sunscreen up onto the mountain with you. Yeah,
that's another really good tip. The next one that I will have for you is that I will try to save some money by buying my my ski pass really early. So the earlier you buy it, the better you are off, so you can get season pass really early on in the season, what months can you get
I just went through that at the beginning. So October and November is the best time to buy it.
So when you get those season pass really early, you can save so much money. You could get literally for $500 you can get the entire season pass, while otherwise you pay $100 a day. So to me it's a no-brainer. If you come to New Zealand to ski, you're going to want to get yourself a season pass, and if possible early. So save some money, do that.
Also, like I was mentioning before, do have some really good equipment for on the mountain. Obviously, in terms of what you're wearing, you're going to want to have a proper ski jacket and salopettes to keep yourself warm and protect yourself from the snow in case you fall over. And if you don't have any of that equipment yourself, because I know it can be pretty expensive, they do rent all that sort of gear up on the commercial ski fields. So there's no real excuse really, just make sure that you are prepared, and also wear a helmet. In New Zealand, it is really common for people, everyone pretty much wears a helmet. I know in other countries like Japan and in some European countries, it's not really cool to wear a helmet on the ski fields, but in New Zealand, it's sort of the norm. So make sure you wear a helmet.
So I actually have forgotten the name of that item, which is my next tips, which is really annoying. It's those items which have a GPS stuff, and you can pull on it and they come and get you. You have those
like a locator beacon.
A beacon. Yes, a locator beacon. That's the thing. So if you plan on doing the off piste, make sure you have a locator beacon. It is so important to actually be safe when doing these kind of things, and obviously only go off track if you are very well experienced, if you know what you're doing, and if you just have a bunch of mates or people that you've met in New Zealand and they kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to go do this one, I'm going to go do this one. If you don't feel like you have the level, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And skiing and snowboarding is extremely dependent on your personal skill and your own abilities. So don't be a dumbass.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't.
And actually, segueing off that one, if you are a beginner, make sure you get lessons first. That you can't expect to get onto some skis or a snowboard and just pick it up as you're going along, because it's just too dangerous to even try and attempt that. If you can pick up a lot of speed really quickly, and if you don't know how to stop or manage your own speed, then you can not only end up hurting yourself but crash into some other people. And just make sure you get some lessons first before you hit the slopes alone.
All right, so that's basically our take for skiing in the South Island of New Zealand. So, where you're going to ski, what are different type of ski fields, a bit of our take on it, as well as a bunch of tips. So I hope that this helped you, Jack. If it does, click like, click subscribe, share this video with everybody. And if you guys have some questions of your own, put them in the comments below, put them in the live chat right now, and we'll be here to answer those questions every single week.